We have heavy rain from the Ohio Valley through the Tennessee Valley, an atmospheric river out on the west coast, and the next week of weather and all the details you need to know next at the Weather Farm. Welcome to the Weather Farm. If you are new to the channel, my name is Christopher Hale and I'm the Chief Meteorologist here. Thank you for subscribing, checking out what we do here each and every week to bring you the latest information about storms that are impacting your area. As we look at our Friday, we do have a storm that is impacting the Ohio Valley. One section of it's bringing heavy rain to Kentucky, down through Tennessee into Mississippi and Alabama, while another part, the northern part of this, is bringing rain across parts of southeastern Iowa and to northern Illinois. All of that's going to move east on our Friday into our Saturday and completely give us a dry weekend across this area. Up north, across parts of northern Maine, we do have a weak disturbance that is bringing light snow showers. Nothing too terrible, but it may cause a slick spot here or there as you go about your Friday activities. But our attention is all out west. It is the atmospheric river that is going to be bringing heavy rain to British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. Not only on our Friday, but this is going to last into early next week. It will shift a little bit further south, but we are going to see heavy amounts of rain, heavy mountain snowfall totals by the time we get to Monday and Tuesday of next week. That rain that is in the Ohio Valley, we're going to look at some rainfall amounts, and we could see a widespread 2 to 4 inches across most of Kentucky. This stretches from Paducah to Lexington, even into far western West Virginia. Down through Tennessee, Nashville, Knoxville, you could see 1.5 inches of rain with, again, heavier amounts of rain down to the south and west across parts of northern Mississippi. To the north of that, across Missouri through Illinois and Indiana, we could see generally about 1/2 inch of rain. Same is true down for Atlanta and in Alabama. Generally, 1/2 inch of rain is expected. As I said on our Saturday, that system is going to completely move offshore. It may have a few scattered snow showers across Cape Cod into Massachusetts, but the focus is going to be out west. That atmospheric river is shifting a little bit further south into northern California for that steady stream of moisture. So that's where we will see the heaviest amounts of rain for our Saturday. But all across the Pacific Northwest, we are going to see scattered snow showers in those higher elevations, even across parts of British Columbia into Alberta. If you notice across the northern plains, we have those blue lines. They're kind of diving down to the south and east. That is associated with a trough it's a backdoor cold front that's kind of moving out of Ontario into the Great Lakes area. So it's going to bring slightly cooler weather from the Minnesota down through Michigan into the Northeast for our Saturday. But by Sunday, we start to see those red lines, those 550 millibar contour heights. We start to see those rising back up as a ridge is building across the central plains. We do see area of snowfall from Saskatchewan into Manitoba into the Great Lakes. Generally light amounts are expected with this system, but out west we see that steady stream of moisture through San Francisco into northern Nevada, into Utah, now making its way into far southwestern Wyoming. This is continuing to spread moisture, heavy rains, and mountain snows for our Sunday and into our Monday. Now, as we get into our Monday, there is some disagreement with the models. Some of the models do want to take an area of low pressure over northern Colorado and to start adding some lift into the atmosphere and bringing a heavier amount of snow across eastern Wyoming into South Dakota. Some models are wanting to hint about 2 to 5 inches with this particular system. We are going to continue watching that. If it does develop into something more, we will bring the latest to you on our Facebook page, or if we need to, we will go live here on the channel. So make sure you click that bell icon to be notified of the latest information. But across Ontario, that clipper system that brought the snow to the Great Lakes for our Sunday is now spreading snow just south of Hudson Bay across central Ontario and moving into Quebec, even into Maine. You're going to get in on a little bit of that snow action. Again, generally light amounts are expected. As we mentioned, that snowfall that will move across the Canadian provinces through the Great Lakes and into the Northeast by Monday is generally going to set down 2 to 5 inches of snow across the southern Canadian provinces, moving into Minnesota and to Wisconsin as that system moves east. In terms of rainfall, though, out west, this is where our focus is. From central Oregon down through San Francisco, we could see widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain. Isolated 4 to 6 inch amounts aren't out of the question. And if we look just to the east of that, where we see that 13.4, that's in those mountainous regions. That's the liquid equivalent of all the snow that's going to fall in those higher elevations. And in fact, when we flip it over to our snowfall map, we are going to see 3, 4, 5, 6 feet of snow in those highest of elevations. And that's going to stretch all the way down through the Sierras of California. And it's going to stretch across the mountain ranges of northern Nevada into Utah as well. The widespread 12 to 18 inches are not out of the question with that steady stream of moisture. And you can really see it here on the snowfall map where that plume of moisture is going to set up shop over the next several days. So let's put everything into motion. We have that system that's moving out of the Ohio Valley on our Friday. Out west, the atmospheric rivers are moving on shore, a 995 millibar low. And that moisture is going to set up shop in Northern California, and it's going to stay there most of the weekend. There's that Clipper system that's moving across the Canadian provinces into the Great Lakes for our Sunday. It moves into the Northeast by the time we get to Monday, and then we look at Wyoming and into South Dakota. There's where the models want to set up some kind of a snow system for our Monday. But even on Tuesday, the atmospheric river continues to bring moisture into Northern California. And this is the area that needs it. But as we get into our Wednesday, that moisture does shift a little bit south into Los Angeles. That's great. While out west, we see a spin up of a system potentially somewhere around Kentucky and Tennessee that it's going to bring rain and snow to that area. Does that develop into a winter storm? It's still about a week out, so a lot can happen between now and then, but it is something that we are definitely going to be keeping our eye on here. The biggest story, in addition to that atmospheric river, is going to be the warm temperatures. And we see that with plenty of orange on the map as we go into our Sunday. Off to the northwest, though, we see those purples. That cold air is looming there across southern Canada. But it's going to try to make a way into the United States by our Tuesday, into the Dakotas, maybe Nebraska. But a ridge continues to build back even stronger as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. And that warmth is going to spread from Kansas through the Tennessee Valley into the far northeast. But as you saw in that last frame, the cold air continues to build north of the border. And I just think it is a matter of time before it is unleashed into the lower 48. Somewhere around the 10th to the 13th is what we're thinking right now. We could get a shot of colder air for the eastern half of the United States. It probably will not be as severe as what we saw during the month of January, but it is definitely something we are going to watch because the pattern will probably change somewhere around mid to late February. And so in terms of those temperatures, as I mentioned, Saturday, we're going to have that backdoor cold front that's going to slide in from the northeast to the southwest. It's kind of an anomaly in how that moves, but it's going to keep the temperatures across Minnesota, Wisconsin, into Michigan and the Northeast in the teens and single digits for our Saturday. Just south of there through Kentucky, Illinois, into Iowa, 30s is common for your start of your February. We are in a warming month as the daylight is getting longer in February. Temperatures are starting to warm up, but 30s are common. But we look at across Texas, and we're going to see those widespread 70s, and those 70s are going to stretch all the way up into Oklahoma. We could see 60s as far north as Nebraska. Across the southeast, it's going to be a wonderful day. A little bit cool with highs in the mid 60s, but down in Florida, we're going to have 70s and near 80-degree temperatures for our Saturday. But look at Sunday. That cold air kind of retreats back up into Canada across the Northeast and the Great Lakes. 40s, 50s, even some 60s could be spreading into parts of Kentucky and Tennessee. The Show Me State, you could see widespread 60s for your Sunday. Down across Texas, those 80s are starting to creep up. And those 80s creep up all the way to Oklahoma. It's going to be a lovely day along the Gulf Coast, their beaches. Take some time, go to Biloxi, walk along the beach, enjoy the fresh air, because you're going to see temperatures in the upper 70s for your Sunday. And out west, it's also going to be nice. Denver in the low 50s, Southern California in the 70s. But we look to the northwest across Canada, we see that cold air is looming there. Temperatures there will be sub-zero for our Sunday. Some areas might not get above 10 below zero for your high temperature. And this all fits with the model that we are seeing of colder weather being present as we get into next weekend towards the second week of February. For most of the country, the Climate Prediction Center is putting them under a greater than normal chance of having below normal temperatures during this time frame. We see that sharp dip across the lower central plains and then cascading to the northeast. That's indicative of sharp temperature gradients, which are common in fall and in spring when we have active weather patterns. And when we look at that on our Precip map, we see that the Ohio Valley and Tennessee valleys are highlighted for above normal precipitations during this time period. If that comes to fruition and the cold air gets into place, we could see some kind of a snowstorm or winter weather event somewhere in that general vicinity. We're thinking maybe somewhere from Kansas to Tennessee, maybe to Ohio or Pennsylvania. The exact location isn't determined yet. It's still 2 weeks away, but we're going to keep our eye on that particular area for the potential of our next major snowstorm. It's something we will definitely be monitoring here at the Weather Farm. We thank you for joining us here at the Weather Farm. We hope to see you again real soon.